Hi, I'm Nick Chubb, industrial designer in the UK. Last month I was asked by ArtsThread to give a talk for London Design Festival at the V&A Museum, and the talk is titled Thinking About Studying Design, and it was aimed at young adults over 18 years of age who are thinking about studying design at university. Basically the audio on the night wasn't too great, so I thought I'd just record it now and share it with you for you guys online. So if we start the talk, thinking about studying design. So my whole thinking was that there'd be three different types of people who'd be the audience for this talk. And so there's people who don't know if they want to study design at university. There's people who sort of think they kind of might know, but maybe not. And there's people who definitely know that design is the thing that they want to study. And my point being that hopefully through sort of making you aware of the different types of design jobs that are out there and sharing my story and journey in product design, we can just get you excited about design and also just sort of shift people a bit further to the right box, the fact that you want to study design. And so my journey started at Sheffield Hallam. I studied product design there for 4 years. And one of the things I loved the most was that it's very project based. And so with every new project, you're having to learn about a new subject area every time. So for instance, my master's graduation project was all about giving birth. So I spent every day for 1.5 years of my life learning about giving birth, and that was what formed my major project. And so obviously people do all sorts of different types of projects, and you also get to learn from what they're doing as well. And that's one of the main things that I like about it. And so I studied product design, but before that I'd always kind of done work in graphics and branding and web design and web usability. My first internship in product design though was with a consultancy doing cookware and homeware products. I then worked on a bit of furniture and then worked on nursery products in the nursery industry, and then outdoor and adventure gear, where I also did structural packaging and box packaging, and then also doing consumer products, consumer electronics, and recently that mixed with medical devices and healthcare projects. So I've experienced quite a different breadth of projects in the industry. And so these are some of the clients that I've been lucky enough to work with. So if we take one, so this was my first proper job, if you like, out of university, which was being part of the new product development team at Mums and Papas. And so I was heavily involved with a project called Armadillo Flip, which is available in stores now at Mums and Papas. But I also worked on other different toys and accessories and high chairs. And so what I really liked about this job was that it used a whole different range of skills. So you're going to be sketching sometimes, you're going to be prototyping, you're going to be testing, you're going to be looking at colours, materials and finishes. You're going to be learning from senior engineers about the mechanics. There was a bit of graphic user interface design in this role as well, with an electronic baby swing. And so that real sort of user-centered process was really enjoyable. And so this is the Armadillo Flip, one of the main projects I worked on. I then moved from Mums and Papas to Lifeventure, where there was two other brands, Little Life and Life Systems. And this was some nursery products, but mainly it was outdoor and adventure gear. So if you look top left, these are some sketches for a baby carrier that I worked on called the Little Life Adventurer. Top right, this is a survival shelter that I worked on. There was also some backpacks and water filtration systems, backpacks for kids and water bottles and hip packs and all this sort of stuff. One great thing about that job was that when you work in-house as a designer for a particular brand is that you get to go to these trade shows. And so this is Friedrichshafen in Germany, which is the largest outdoor trade show in the world. And that's also something you get to do as a designer when you're working in design, is you get to travel and go to interesting places. So I've been lucky enough to go to quite a few different cities in China now, and every time we go, I get to see a different manufacturing process and learn about something new, and you get to see interesting things. And so that image on the right is a electronic control panel on a toilet that I saw. And now I work with IDC, Industrial Design Consultancy, and it's really, really varied in terms of the projects when you work for a consultancy. So these are some past projects of IDC. So top left is a coffee machine for Mars. The next one in is some orthopedic instruments, what's used to replace somebody's knee. Bottom left, this is a laryngoscope, a video laryngoscope. We've also got top right is some covers for a robot that does a 3D scan of the interior of automotive components. The Red Bull one there, basically the head designer at Red Bull was asked, if you didn't have to stick to the rules and regulations of Formula One, what would the Red Bull F1 car look like? And so he did the design, and it was for PlayStation, the latest Gran Turismo game. And so he actually did the design, and IDC was sent the 3D data. And we've got an arm to our business called IDC Models, professional model making service. And so we were commissioned to actually build the design, and that was shown, full scale at an event for PlayStation. Bottom right, this is also the user interface that went into a smart car. And so it's just really, really interesting that with every new project, you're learning about something completely different and new. And so one of the things I wanted to include in this talk was what's out there. Because when you are 17, 18 years old, making your decision of whether you want to go to university and study design, you are aware that product design is a course. You are aware that graphic design is a course and furniture design. But what you're not so aware of is actually the jobs that are out there and the end applications. And so I just wanted to go through a little exercise to make that point. And so if we look at the sort of tangible objects and spaces that are around in our daily lives, if we take a random day. So we'll start here. This is an alarm clock, right? That you know what time you got up in the morning because of an alarm clock. And so that had to be designed. If you didn't look at your alarm clock, you might have looked at your smartphone. Obviously that's a big area of design as well. You then might have taken a shower, and so we've got water systems and more mechanical design. You might have worn pajamas while you're in bed, so we've got textiles, fabrics and fashion design. In your bedroom you've got furniture, so there's furniture design. And the jobs associated to that, you might not just the furniture designer, but also the buyer and the distributor. And you have furniture retailers. Another one, so when you had your breakfast, the actual food itself has to be designed. And not only that, but the packaging and the branding and everything that goes with that. You didn't just, you had to find this cereal in a store. And so that retail space has to be designed as well. And so we've got interior design. We've also got exterior lighting design of hotels and other public spaces. And you could class architecture as a type of design as well. And we've also got automotive design. So you've got the interiors, you've got the exterior design. Within the interior team, you've got someone who purely looks at colours, materials and finishes. So this is a CMF designer. And amongst all these different things, you've got project managers and compliance teams. And if, you will see the same products around if the marketing's right. And so these are all the different types of jobs that we see where design is a great launch pad to go into for this. And so you've got the design of consumer products and user interfaces and UX designers. Like I said, I know plenty of people who've studied product design and then gone into branding, or people who've studied product design and just gone into marketing or retail design and lighting design. And so not only are there specialists in these areas who started with product design, but also, it isn't just this pigeonhole. you can be a product designer working with a consultancy and get experience in these different things. There are a number of projects that I've worked on recently that I would struggle to define as a product or packaging, or basically sometimes projects can be very much service design or just general sort of business development and what a brand and a company are offering. So, you know, you do get the experience when you work with a consultancy to stretch the boundaries a bit. And so I was recently asked if you had to sort of define what design was all about in 3 words, what would they be? And so I've included that in this presentation. So the first one is delight. And the definition of delight, if you look it up as a noun, is great pleasure. And so how many things have given you great pleasure that had to be designed by someone? It's amazing how many people I meet being a designer who, until you talk to them, they don't really realise that everything around us has to be designed. But coming back to this delight point, the fact that how many of us have saved up for a new bike or a new toy or a new video game, these things that had to be designed that just bring us great pleasure in our lives. And the second one is well-being, and the definition of well-being is a state of comfort, health and happiness. And so touching on the health point, you know, medical devices and surgical instruments and implants, all these things that help to keep us alive have to be designed as well. And the third one being business growth. I worked on a project recently that I would say it delivered on all 3. So the product actually was, the example is that patients had to go to hospital to do a particular process and go through this process about 4 times a day at hospital, and the project we worked on was actually allowed them to do it from home, and I'm sure that gave them great pleasure and the well-being. But the product also was for a very large medical firm who that will massively help grow their business. And when we're designing these products, it's very important to remember that we're designing them for people. And I believe that if you get into design and study design and take this on as a profession, you've got a huge opportunity to impact the world, to impact the way we live, and, you know, progress humanity as a whole. And another thing is that you get to work with lots of different people. You get to work with material scientists and mechanical engineers and all different types of people, but you're also designing for different types of people. So I've worked on projects where we're designing specifically for the Chinese market. I've worked on projects where the product is specifically for women of a particular age. And so it's all about people, and that's one of the main reasons I love it. But the main point that I'm trying to put across in this talk for anyone thinking about studying design is that it is just an absolutely awesome launch pad to go into so many different types of careers. The ones that I touched on there in the example, and you could extend that, I think marketing and business in general, presentations, I think design gives you a very, very core set of skills that allow you to take on a whole number of challenges, and you can have a lot of fun with that and apply that to lots of different things. And so thank you very much. That's my talk. I hope you got a lot out of that. And if you'd like to check any more of my thoughts out or future posts, then you can subscribe at nickchubbdesign.com. Thank you.